Obviously Anime. I am your host, Peter. On today's episode, we will be talking the spring 2023 season. Normally we do a first impressions episode and do a rule of three with new shows, but this time around, due to some scheduling issues, we will be doing a rule of 6, 7, and sometimes 8 of these new shows this season. There will be spoilers on the shows that we are covering, so in this episode, this is your warning. If you want to avoid those spoilers on the shows we are talking about, in the description below, there will be timestamps for those shows. Joining me today are two of my partners in crimes. We have Miles and Jay. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
We're doing really good. I'm glad that Jay and I, as a collective, bullied you into doing this episode. I'm looking forward to talking about this season's shows.
In accordance.
You know, we are doing great. Love it.
Okay, well, yeah. I guess, Jay, let me know if you're not.
Jay, I'm doing terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you are both here, and yes, thank you for bullying me into doing this episode, because I think, for the most part, this season has been fantastic. So how we are going to do this episode is we're going to structure it a little bit different than normal. Instead of going show by show, we'll be breaking up into different sections, starting with the cream of the crop, the best of the season. I'll be starting with the show that, to me, is probably my number one show of this season. It's a show that we've all read at least some of, and that is Oshi no Ko. Aka Akasaka's next project is adapted, and the concerns of Studio Doga Kobo at the helm, I think those concerns have vanished for the most part for me. So, gentlemen, how are we feeling about Oshi no Ko through, I think, 6 episodes?
So, I love the Oshi no Ko manga. Slight spoiler, though. It's only probably my second favorite show of the season. In a upset of the century of the week. I guess, unless the other show I like just goes down in flames, and then I will reassess. But I think they've done a great job with the adaptation. You know, it's everything that I've hoped for so far. I had faith in Dogakoba because Shikimori looked really pretty. And like I didn't think the fault of Shikimori was with the studio in any way. And that was like their most recent project. So you know, I think they've hit the key moments really well. They've added some fun, you know, little bits, little cutaway scenes and stuff with like Kana eating all the baking soda and stuff. So I mean, I've been really hyped with how they done it. Jay, how about you?
Honestly, I've enjoyed the show quite a bit as well. I definitely was one of the people who was pretty nervous about the studio going in. Not necessarily because of Shikimori, but just because, I don't know, they are not really a truly proven studio overall, I would say. Like, they have
Agreed.
some blunders on there. They're not a studio that has like 2 or 3 really solid series. And I think that Oshi no Ko will be definitely a step in the right direction for them. I mean, they're getting tons of praise for it, obviously. It's probably the most popular thing running right now. I would say that I'm not quite as high on it as everybody else. For the first, like, 4 episodes or so, I was whelmed, is how I would describe it. Neither underwhelmed nor overwhelmed by it. I enjoyed the way that the character art went. Like, I liked the use of like kind of mixed media sort of things with the backgrounds and such at points. Reminded me a bit of how, like, people praised Bochi last season, or yes, second to last season before last at this point. Sorry, time is an illusion. So I think that overall they're doing a really good job. Good adaptation. I would like to see a bit more stuff added to it. I would like to see a bit more focus on OST in the going forward, I think, because it does have a really solid OST, but I feel like for a show that's mostly about the music industry, it doesn't really utilize it to its fullest extent. But even then, that's like a small nitpick and not like a minus point or anything. It's just something I wish that they would utilize a little bit more.
I would agree, because I do think that there are some OSTs, especially this season, that have been standing out. Where I agree that there's some spots in Oshi no Ko where I think that there were some moments that I feel like they could have hit really hard. I think they did a really good job in episode 6 with the Aqua and Akane scene going into the ED. I do like how they do like the transitions into the ED in
That's
Oshinoko.
that's the high point.
That's for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't notice OSTs as much as like a lot of y'all. Like a lot of you guys are like impressively tuned in on that stuff, and like you're like, oh, here's like the leitmotif that makes us, and they did a riff on it, and it's all like impressive. But I'm like, oh, music sound good, but I definitely haven't noticed that in Oshinoko. So I
Monkey
trust
bang
you.
drum.
I trust you guys. There is one show where I think the OST is absolutely freaking phenomenal. And I'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But Pete, this is this is your baby, in a way. So, what do you want to praise about it?
I think it's more of just, coming into it, I think that the source material could be adapted pretty well. It's just how is a studio like Dogakobo going to take it and run with it. I think this is kind of, maybe if we go like 2 or 3 years back with Cloverworks, where they really weren't like an established, I mean, they were an established studio, but like not to the levels that they are now. And then they got their hands on like Spy Family and My Dress Up Darling and Bochi, and then you really see something like that take them to the next level. I kind of feel like that this is maybe something with Dogakobo, that they're taking a insanely popular series in Japan. I think before the anime aired, is at like 9 million copies sold, and now it's somewhere in like the 12 to 13 range. So like a pretty popular franchise given to a, I don't know, what would you call them, a B or C tier studio. And really, this is how if you want long-term growth with your company, you take a property like this and then you make it your own. And I feel like that they're doing that. So that's like the biggest thing. I think so far the adaptation has been fantastic. I love how they did episode 1 as the movie, adapting the first 10 chapters as sort of like the focal point of the story and really getting people involved. I knew that this was going to blow up. I didn't think it was going to blow up the way that it did. And so I kind of was, now I'm trying to think of like going forward what other shows are going to be like Oshinoko, where episode 1 drops and the internet explodes. I have some theories. I might do an episode on it, but
I think it's a little bit hard to do because Oshinoko, like directorially, they made. I don't even know, not directorially, that's not the right word, but like show running wise, right? Like the showrunners made a deliberate decision. It's a bit of a risk to make your episode 1 an hour and a half, right?
Yeah.
Because not everyone is here to be like, oh, let me check out the new seasonal. And then they see 90 minutes and they go, let me check out the other new seasonal, And I think with Oshinoko, where you have like a climax so early in a series like that, because you have like a secret prologue basically, that it's a really good decision. But I think you need something that's structured similarly, where like you would have it becomes a different show after episode 7 if you were to pace it normally. And I just don't know how many things are structured like that, but I think it was a really good choice for the work they were adapting, because it would be really weird, I think, to have like 7 weeks of Ai's story and then all of a sudden it's just like not about that anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, agreed.
Yeah, I guess in terms of like I don't think like the story needs to be like beautifully animated like other stories. However, I do think that they are doing a good job at like the scenes that matter. I thought like in episode 6, how they kind of visualize Akane breakdown was really well done, especially from like the prior scenes before, where she's like on set and she's kind of going through her emotions and it's hugging and it's like really beautiful and sunny, to the scenes where she's about to kill herself. I thought like how they handled those tone shifts with like kind of visualizing Akane's personality in those scenes was like a nod to how good they're doing this adaptation. So not a whole lot to like say in terms of like negativity for me. To me, I think this adaptation's been great and it's my new favorite series this season.
New favorite series this season?
Because
series?
It's not my favorite currently airing series.
Yeah, okay, so it's your favorite new
series,
yes.
not
Yeah,
new
okay.
favorite series.
Yeah,
that's why you guys are here. Yeah. Any final thoughts on Oshinoko?
No. So this is my second favorite currently airing series. So I guess we're all sort of doing like our top 3, but we're not going to force everyone to hear us talk about this again. So this would have been second for me.
Not in my top 3, actually.
Well, that tracks with what we had. Like, I know some
Not
of the
that it's
returning
bad or
shows and stuff.
anything, but
No, I'm just saying, like I know that you don't think it's bad, but I know there's like at least one show that you're like ride or die for that's airing a sequel, and there's some shows that you have been anticipating their adaptations for, and
yeah,
they're doing well.
and some stuff
So,
that surprised me as well. That we'll get
ooh,
into.
okay.
And we will get to that.
Okay. So my favorite show that's airing this season is the continuation of Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury. I was really big on this show basically since I saw the first preview art. I was like intrigued because the name, I thought like Soletta standing in front of the aerial was like really cool imagery and stuff. But I had no idea what to. I had never watched a Gundam series before, and me being the nerd I am, went in. So I watched like IBO and I watched some other like UC stuff, and I was like, okay, I think I have an idea of what to expect now. And I didn't. It was like different. So I loved season 1. I know some people thought it went a little slow at times, a little too focused on like slice of life stuff. Like, I'm all here for that. That's fine with me. But I think season 2 has just sort of been banger after banger after banger episode. And I wake up at like 6 a.m. on Sundays to like watch it. That's how excited I am for it. I don't think I've ever done as much like related media for anything as I have done for this show. Like, the show has me reading a Shakespeare play to like try to guess like character motivations and stuff, because it's like heavily influenced by The Tempest. And like there's a character named Prospero in The Tempest. There's a character named Ariel in The Tempest, and so trying to figure out how the author is like alluding to that, because apparently Code Geass is also heavily related to Hamlet, which I don't know. I didn't know that. I didn't go too hard on Code Geass or Hamlet. But I've loved it. How are you guys liking it this season? I know both of you guys are currently watching it.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying GWitch. The first season, honestly, I'm not one of those people who doesn't like slice of life in my like shows, like even if they're not slice of life shows in general. But I did find myself getting a little bit like my eyes glazing over at points in the first season whenever they were having some of the longer conversations and stuff with like where it was like a lot of talking but not a lot of like information actually being given to you. It's more of like hinting at information that would be given later.
Yes.
And then I think like the last like 4 episode stretch of season 1 into the beginning of season 2 is just like incredible. In season 2, it just starts off with like a huge jolt because you have, the terrorism that ended the last season, as well as we already got our mid-season upgrade for the titular Gundam, or not titular Gundam, but the main Gundam. And then we get even more terrorism right at the start of season 2, more or less, from the same people, no less, who are pretty solid characters in and of themselves, apart from the terrorism. But the thing about Gundam is you're
Terrorism's
gonna
a little
like some
based, I'm not gonna lie.
terrorisms.
Like, it's yeah, I agree. Are you guys caught up on it, by the way? Can
I am
I?
caught up.
I
Okay,
am caught up.
so you talked about how we got the mid-season upgrade to the aerial like a little early for a Gundam series. I think the aerial might be the boss suit after this last week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think so. I think that's where they're going as well.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get Soletta in the Schwartz set then that they just showed.
Yeah, potentially. One issue is that I think the aerial can just control everything that's powered by gun bits
True.
and like that. So Soletta might, I don't know, maybe Soletta in a demi trainer versus the aerial. I'm sure we won't get that, but I don't know if that suit will be usable or not, but we'll find out. Pete, how about you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this because I think we had a lot of like theories of what we thought was going to happen in this part, and I think for the most part they were pretty clear as day if you watch the show. It's just nice to see that like being right feels really good. So, with Ariel and Aerie being like in the actual Ariel and that kind of confirmation like solidified, I think, in the last like 2 episodes, have been great. I do miss them doing marketing campaigns in this season. That was a huge part of season 1, what I loved about it. And talking about like OSTs from previously, I think GWitch's OST has been incredible. It's adding like another element to the story, especially the last episode when they're in like deep space and it's silent, and then you can really create the ambiance with the music. And I think they hit the nail on the head with this. It's been great. I think it's definitely going to be one of my top 10 of the year. I think that's kind of the trajectory it's going. And maybe a hot take, I like the gap between part 1 and part 2. I'm glad we got like a 3-month break in between just to let this build, because I'm really excited for like what we're getting right now, and it's been a very enjoyable ride.
Also, speaking of shows that have a good transition from show to ending song, GWitch actually has a better transition from show to ending song most of the time than Oshi no Ko, in my opinion. Like, just anytime something happens, you just hear the sound, and then like the singer coming in. It's like, damn.
Yeah, we have like an OPs and EDs section, so I can talk about Red Birthmark, and I think Jay will talk about Red Birthmark, and I think Pete will talk about Red Birthmark. Just like I think we're all going to talk about Mephisto, but it's I think like I don't know I'm just so impressed with it, and like I have like an irrational love for it, I think, just because I was like, ooh, I'm interested in this, like based off like the first splash art or whatever, and I was like, I hope this is good, and then it has been, and I'm just like super excited about it.
You love to see it.
That's good. Jay, what about you? What have you been enjoying this season?
I think that the first one that I have to talk about, just because I kind of owe it to this series, because I've been hyping it up for like 2 years or something like that ever since the anime got announced, and I'm just a fan of this guy's works in general. I got to give it to Hell's Paradise for my first discussion point, because oh man, I was so nervous going into it, and it's been. I'm not gonna. Okay, I will say it is not by any measures a 10 out of 10 show in like animation or anything like that. It has some moments that remind me of Tower of God whenever they're like doing faces and stuff, even, which again, not like the worst thing ever, but it could be better. Like it could be better when you look at something like, JJK, Attack on Titan, Mappa's other offerings. But I'm thankful that we didn't get like a truly god awful, like just unwatchable piece of shit, like Record of Ragnarok, the first season of that, or just a lot of other shows that unfortunately I have looked forward to that have just ended up being like Netflix shows and stuff like that.
Way the house husband.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a big PowerPoint fan. Okay, don't diss.
So for this season, as of right now, I have 5 shows at a 9. And this was one that I originally had at an 8 until the last episode, which I thought was. It just sucks that this season's so stacked, because I think that could have been like one of the best episodes of the season. It was just incredible with what I saw from Hell's Paradise. It kind of takes what I hate about shonen and made it really good. I think the idea of how they created this threat on the island, like a real threat. I feel like anybody is doomed at any time, and I like when shows do that, especially in the circumstances that they're in. So props to Hell's Paradise for doing stuff like that. Also, I just think like the cast overall, we did our preview. There was like a bunch of people with like on Mal, their last name was Ayasamon, and we didn't really know what that meant. So discovering what that meant has been like a really interesting experience. Yeah, I think the cast is just like a great mix of at points it's serious, but then you have like Yuzuhara like doing her cheerleader thing for Gabi Maru, and I'm laughing. And then some just like the character designs of the monsters on the island are fantastic. The face creatures give me nightmares. Yeah, it's been a great, just enjoyable ride throughout. And I can't really knock on anything negative so far with the show. It's been just really enjoyable.
Yeah, the only negative I would think, and they're getting a break, right? There's going to be a delay for a week, which I think is good because I've noticed like a little bit of like it's not even animation; it's sort of like flat coloring, like not enough like shading and stuff and details on some faces. I think Jay pointed it out. Um, and to me, that's not a big deal. I don't really care, but it just shows that like maybe the studio's a little crunched currently, and so I'm glad they're getting like a week to sort of get back ahead of schedule. This is like a big surprise for me. Looking at the show, this isn't like Scream show that Miles will like, but I've like loved it. I think it's so good. The characters are all interesting. They have great designs. The fights I think are fun and dynamic, but they don't like last forever, which is always a problem that I sort of have with shonen. Is that if it's an epic fight, they think that making it take like 3 episodes is a way to make it epic, and like that just isn't. I don't enjoy that. But for this, they have great fights that feel important and epic, and they last a fair bit amount of time, but they don't overstay their welcome for me. There's a lot of focus on characterization, which I really like. As Pete was saying, the island is great. It's so disconcerting, like the twisted religious symbolism and stuff that they have on there, but it's also like primal in a way where I could see it sort of being like the originator of like I don't know if it's twisted or if like the religions that came away from the island like twisted themselves to be less
Ah.
primal, you know what I mean? Like it has that feeling where it's like, it's twisted from what we know, but it's also more raw and human with its like sexuality and all of that, which are sort of interesting themes and stuff to explore. The island is really scary, as you've mentioned. The only thing that I'm concerned about is there are only so many characters, and at the rate that they're dying, at some point that will change, which is good. You want your cast around, but I don't want the island to stop feeling scary.
Can I give a slight spoiler?
Please do.
There will be another shipment of
Okay,
characters at some point, more or
that makes a
less.
lot of sense. Um,
Not as many as we had before, but there will be like kind of backup, more or less, that gets sent in because
okay,
there are characters that we saw that were on the island that will find a way to get past the sea monsters and shit and be like, yo, this shit's fucked.
okay. But yeah, I've been loving it. The OP for this I also love. I don't know what you guys think, but this is on my short list
It's
of
a banger.
favorite. Oh yeah, whenever I'm listening, I usually watch it in the morning, and then like Kayla will come down and just sort of be like, "Oh, it's this song again," and I'm like, "Oh, want to watch with me?" And she's like, "No."
I think it's good. I don't think it's in like my. Well, I have a really weird like top 3 OP this season, but it's not bad. I like the animations more than the song, I guess.
Some of the
um,
animation in that OP is just truly incredible. Like, and the symbolism and stuff. And for another spoiler from this week's episode, I gotta say once again that I was very shocked that everyone got so attached to Tenzo when they literally show him dead / dying in the OP.
Look, man, I just watched JJK. Okay, so like after watching that and learning anything from those OPs, I learned that him being dead means that he'll live forever. Um,
Fair enough. He'll live
um,
forever in the hearts of his
yeah,
fellow Asemon.
because when I was watching, I guess it's not slight JJK spoilers, but JJK spoilers. When I was watching Yuji fight against what's his name,
Mahito.
yeah, and I was like, oh, I can't wait till he joins the crew. Oh, things aren't looking so good. I guess they could kill him, but he was in the OP and
Oh,
oh.
you got Junpei, yeah. Yeah. Classic.
I guess for
Yeah,
me,
go Pete.
I was like for like final thoughts for me with Hell's Paradise. Also, I'll ask Jay this at the end. To me, that this is, I think like JJK levels for me for like new gen shonen, where it's not something I really seek out after, but when we get something this good, I am on like when it comes out, I'm watching it pretty quick after its release on Crunchyroll. So yeah, it's just been a great experience. But like Are we getting? Do we need a second season to wrap up the story?
It's like 120 chapters overall. We're like, I think we're in volume 3 or so right now,
Oh,
or something like
okay,
that. So yeah, it'll probably be like a 2 core, I imagine.
got it.
And will the
Yeah.
story end? Like, is it over or is it still ongoing?
There's like a slight cliffhanger at the end, and there's like some side stories and stuff that they could like OVA, I guess. But it's a pretty overall complete story, I would say.
Mhm.
But just due to the nature of some of the characters, like it means that it's not. It'll get explained later. It's
Yeah.
spoilers to talk about it. Yeah.
So, well, I can't wait for the side story of Tenza secretly alive, living his best life. That is 100% going to happen. I'm not huffing copium.
They could throw him down the hole. He turns into a flower, and then maybe they figure out a way to turn those flowers back to humans. Who knows?
Honestly, being a flower doesn't really seem like there's any downside to being one of the flower people so far.
Yeah, it reminds me of
They seem a little
I mean,
uncanny is maybe the word. Like that one samurai who comes back feels very like being
well,
human.
no, I mean if you were like one of the Tinsen.
yeah.
Oh,
in
yes,
the
yes, yes,
hole.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
like LCL and Neon Genesis. They're just one happy being.
And then the flower is like you grind up those flowers to make the tang. Is that how?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
exactly. That's how
Probably
it.
tastes
They're the same universe. We just don't know it yet. Any final thoughts on Hell's Paradise?
No, I think I pretty much got them out. I'm looking forward to seeing how they wrap up the season.
Agreed. Moving on to my number 2 show of the season. It's a show that as soon as I watched the first episode, I went, "Yep, I'm definitely reading this manga." Is Skip&Loafer. It has everything that I want in this style of show and more. I am just thoroughly enjoying the 2 main leads. It's like a great combination of they're touching on subjects I feel are relevant and sometimes serious, but doing it in a light manner where I think it's really easy to consume. The OP is a mega banger. It's one of, if not my favorite OPs of the year. And I'm just thoroughly enjoying the cast and everything that goes along with Skip&Loafer. So, gentlemen, your thoughts on Skip&Loafer?
Yeah, so I'm not like on Pete's level on Skip&Loafer because like Pete is like
I don't think
huffing that.
anybody is.
Yeah,
quite at
I
Pete's
okay.
level. Even
Maybe
people
like
who
the
love
mom
it.
of the director. Um, you know, but maybe not.
Yeah, don't make assumptions.
I do think, like, as soon as I watch episode 1, I go, this is a Pete show. Like, for
Oh
sure.
yeah,
this is
no,
a Pete show.
100%. You know, I do really like it though. I think it's like really solid. I think it took me like an episode or 2 to be sold, and that was just due to like my expectations going in. I saw Mitsumi's design in some of the previews, and I expected her to just be like a total freaking gremlin. You know what I mean? Like some sort of I don't know, like think a Haran-san or something, you know, some
Mhm.
like barely functioning human who is just full of like hijinks and antics, but the show's a lot more grounded than that. It's like really I don't know. I do really like it. I like the color palette. I think it's refreshing and like I like their all the characters are pretty complex except for that senpai guy who is like my least favorite character in the show who just keeps on asking Shima to be in the drama club or whatever. But you know, Mika's my favorite character because I'm like part sociopath.
Ooh.
But I don't know. I really like it. It's pleasant. It's just like a happy little comfy 20 minutes of my week. I agree the OP is really good. I like the little dance they do in it. It reminds me of Wodakoi, but it's like the OP is attached to a good show instead of Wodakoi.
Woo!
Um, Jay, what are your Skip&Loafer thoughts?
I really enjoy Skip&Loafer. It's one of the ones where I'm like running to watch it every time it drops.
Face.
You know, me and my girlfriend loves it too. Like we love the OP. Like the animation, the OP is so fucking cute. Like I love seeing them like dancing together and stuff like that. Like they're just a really cute couple, and I'm glad that they're getting their flowers on like the couples polls and stuff like that. Um, there's another show that we may or may not talk about where that was ahead of them for a bit as far as couples go, and I like that show and I like that couple, but Sosuke and fucking Mitsumi deserve it like 10 times over, in my opinion. They're so good. The cast of characters overall is like really solid too. I like their friend group. I like the themes of like, country mouse moving to the big city and experiencing the like that. I like that it has like some pretty progressive themes in it as well.
Now,
Yeah,
Chad.
overall, it just has like a lot of really good stuff going on with it. Like, I can't think of anything like negative to say about it or anything. It's just like a really wholesome, comfy show.
Well, I'll say one thing I really enjoy about Skip and Loafer is the internal dialogue with Mitsumi. Like understanding that like Shima is like super hot, and she thinks he's super hot, but like she, like Miles said, is really grounded and kind of like understands like who she is as a person. And it's like I value his friendship more than just me trying to pursue him. I don't know if that's like her struggles with like maybe she's made. I don't know if like we'll probably get to like some form of like romantic internal dialogue with her. Like I have a feeling maybe she doesn't think she's good enough to like be his partner. Maybe down the road, but I just think how they kind of handle like her and then Mika's kind of like internal dialogue with her struggles with trying to be like she has to try so much harder to be like the pretty girl than other people, and she kind of has like negative like intentions towards people because like they don't have to try as hard as she does, and we see that in like the first, I think it's like episode 2 or 3 when they go to karaoke. I thought like her internal dialogue was like really well done, and I'm looking forward to expanding that into Yuzuki and Makoto. We kind of got a little bit of it, but I think how they're handling these other characters as well in the show has just been really well done. And I'm looking forward to seeing more from this and more from the cast and kind of like what they're dealing with. If they are dealing with it, not everybody has to have a problem, but like I'm really intrigued to see how like they progress that.
Oh, I'm gonna bring it. I have a slight nit to pick with this show. Okay, this is this is this is some serious stuff. Mitsumi does the thing that's like mildly infuriating, where she's like looking at Sosuke, he's fucking hot. She's like, "Wow, why do I feel all doki doki when I look at him?" And then she's like, "I guess we're just good friends." And it's just like, go for it, you psychopath. People are backing off so you can go for it. Go for it. But,
She knows it's not the right time. She knows.
she knows that we need to get like 3 seasons out of this. And I will say, I think
God, I wish we got 3 seasons.
well, just wait for it. Wait for I think Mitsumi and Sosuke sort of do the like, I don't think I'm good enough to necessarily pursue this person better than a show that we'll probably talk about later. So I'll draw the parallel there because someone else said that in a show recently, and I was like, "Bro, you're good at everything. What are you talking about?" So that's fine. This show is great though. So I was mostly kidding, just trying to find something negative to say, as is my nature.
That's why we love you, Miles. You're always there to just be a hater.
it's it's
Jay,
fun.
Jay, you have any final thoughts with Skip and Loafer?
Honestly, not a lot of thoughts about Skip and Loafer apart from the things that we covered. That cast is just so good, man. I'm definitely gonna read the manga after. We should resurrect Manga Club to read Skip and Loafer. All I'm saying.
I'll do it.
Anyway,
For Skip
okay.
and Loafer, I'll do it.
Yeah, that's my final thought. Resurrect Manga Club to watch Skip and Loafer.
Okay, so my 2 and 3 show have been taken as people's number 1 show. So I'm gonna go straight into the basement to talk about my number 4 show. I guess for me, God, it's the season I think is just really good. So I have a hard time sort of deciding like after my top 2 or 3 like what it is, but what I'm going to pitch here is Insomniacs After School. I've really been liking that. I think it's just I don't know if there's like a ton to say about it. So we can probably talk about it pretty quick. It's like so far it's like a pretty run of the mill, comfy romance. But there's a few things that I think I like about it. The romance seems to be progressing at like a reasonable rate for high school students, which is good. I don't think we're gonna have to be waiting forever. And then two, it's focused on an astronomy club, and stargazing raises every anime up at least 1 point if you have a stargazing scene. That's why Violet Evergarden got a 7, not a 6.
Take it.
But I just think all the characters are super likable. I like the art is like, I don't know. It's maybe the art isn't right. Like the character design is pretty neat. Like the shading and stuff is like your pretty standard glossy anime thing. But I don't know. I think it looks good. And I think Jay, did you catch up on Insomniacs?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I watched the
so
last episode just recent.
I
right
have
before.
not, but I kind of know what happened, so go for it.
yeah, you clicked on my spoilers.
I was gonna watch
and-
it eventually.
Yeah, so I kind of hope that and it seems like they might be like subverting the sick girlfriend thing a little bit with Isaki. I don't know. It's possible that they bring her heart condition back, but from what she said, the doctor said she's like good to go, and she's sort of working on getting over the stress that having that heart condition had. So like I think that's a nice way to like have someone who like has that sort of medical condition passed without I don't know, just like I understand people have health problems and stuff, but a lot of times in these shows it can feel like a little emotionally manipulative where it's like, and then she had cancer, you know what I mean? And it's
Your
just
line,
like,
April.
I wasn't expecting that. I don't want that. So I like how
Word
they're
art
doing
online.
that. They're doing that. And then I just like the focus on like mental health and stuff, right? Like it's sort of trying to normalize um not having a normal sleep cycle and just like not calling, like supporting those people and trying to get them on track, right? Like you have a good juxtaposition between the sort of the coach character and like the nurse, right? Where the nurse is doing everything she can to support the students, and the coach is like, "You're not a man if you don't sleep 8 hours a night," which is not really a masculine thing I've ever heard before, but whatever, it's fine.
That was odd.
See, the thing about me is I don't sleep, I wait.
Whoa. That feels like a Billy and Mandy quote.
Yeah, I'm like a Skyrim main character. Like I can just like wait 8 hours.
Yeah, just wait 8 hours. Jay, what are your thoughts?
I like Insomniacs After School. It's pretty solid. She's the female lead whose name is like blanking from my mind right now.
Isagi Magari.
Isagi is one of the cutest characters that has come out in the past few years. She just brightens my day when I see her in like the little outfits in the OP and ED and shit. Like I think that she's just really fun and wholesome, and I like her with the main character as well. I always like a character I'm a sucker for a free spirit that gets like some stick in the mud out of their
Out of being in the mud.
and that's exactly similar. It's like, again, I mentioned it before. It's similar to Call of the Night vibes, right? And
Yes.
those who listened to our review when we did the summer review where Call of the Night was know that I was a big fucking fan of Call of the Night, partially because I was drunk, mostly because I just enjoy that story a lot. And I think that the vibe, like the base vibes are there. Obviously, like there's branching. It's kind of like a dolphin and a shark. Like they're convergent evolutions, or divergent? Convergent. They're convergent evolutions of the same kind of premise. And I've been enjoying Insomniacs quite a bit. I kind of want a little bit more to be done with the overall cast is the issue. Like we have like the nurse and their former club member who are both pretty involved, as well as the two cats. So like what more could you ask for? But like when you compare it to like Skip&Loafer, it's
Yeah.
contemporary that's airing right now. It feels like the main like the side or secondary characters in that cast are utilized a lot better than
I'll
the ones
challenge you with I don't
here.
want Motoko, who's like the pigtail girl who's like kind of mean, to progress as a person. Like I want her to stay like that. So
Yeah, the latest episode with her, slight spoilers, Pete, sorry.
You're good.
Like where they talk about how like, oh yeah, she's just used to getting all the attention in the shop, and that's why she can't really handle it when other people get attention. It's like, so that like that's still annoying. That's not a good excuse for it. Like, I'm glad she lightened up or whatever, at least a bit, but like, whatever, dude. I don't care that you get attention because you can make like omu rice or noodles or whatever.
It's a classic sob story. Everyone loves me, so I have a hard time when someone doesn't for 10 seconds.
Literally, holy shit. Like that kind of had me rolling my eyes a bit, but like the OP has more characters hanging out in the like, astronomy club with them. So I'm hoping that happens. And also, I know that we have an OP section and we've been just disrespecting the fact that we have that and mentioning the OPs every
Absolutely.
time. But that's a lighter jam right there. Like I'm swaying back and forth, like similar to like what was it? The fucking DIY OP. Like yeah, similar or no, not DIY. It's the first Fruits Basket OP
Okay.
has similar vibes where I'm just like swaying side to side with my lighter at an acoustic concert. So yeah, overall, I really have been enjoying Insomniacs After School, but I think that it needs to utilize its side characters more often and kind of develop them, as well as doing the great development of the main characters and their relationship that it's doing.
I would agree. I think the previous episode when we got like when Nakami did like the male modeling for Nono, like that was super fun. Like yeah, let's add more of like that into the story, and I think we'll have like a better like a cast like Skip&Loafer where it's like yes, the emphasis is on the two main characters, but these characters are there, so let's maybe give them a little bit of shine. We got that the previous episode. I'm looking forward to seeing that more. I will say that if Magri dies, the show is unironically a 0 out of 10 for me. I hate, like, I understand, like Miles brought it up, like the health problems and that happens in real life. I don't want that in this type of story. I liked how she had her surgeries and she's like better physically, but like the aftermath is, she worries about her life. And like
Still affected by it, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I want the focal point to be on. Like I want it to be on, and we saw that in this newest episode. Like the reason why she has insomnia is because she's afraid that when she falls asleep she'll die. I'm like, that's real. Let's focus on that then instead of the possibility of her getting killed off.
The character away from thing.
I feel like that's not the message that they're trying to send, and I feel like it'd be a disservice to the story if that happened.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this show for me right now, it's a step below from like the other shows. I have it at an 8 right now. I do think when it's all said and done, I think it has a really good chance of being a 9. I also think that there's a really good chance that I will read this too, just because this is also a beat show.
It's on the Viz app.
Well, just another excuse to get the Viz app. So, yeah, thoroughly enjoy.
Not sponsored, by the way.
But if they want to, let me know. I will shill that all day. Yeah, just so far for me, just a very solid show. It's like my number 7 show this season.
People will cry out about what my second choice is. My third choice is probably what most people's second or first choice would be, one of the breakout shows of the season, but I'm going to go with my second choice, which is something that surprised me that I've been having a lot of fun with. I got to go with Maho Shoujo Magical Destroyers. This show is so fun. Oh my god. I was not expecting much from it at all. But then whenever Anarchy popped up on the screen, like, she's just such a character. And all the magical girls are really solid. And you know what? The main character himself, Otaku Hero, not
he's
bad
cool.
either. Like, he's pretty cool. It's nice to have an otaku main character who's not like a bumbling, perverted idiot. Like, he has his moments of weakness, don't get me wrong. But, like, he's not, like, getting, like, massive nosebleeds or anything like that. Or, like, lusting after figurines or anything. Pete, what do you think about this show?
Yeah, I've watched the first 2 episodes of it, and then I thought it's been okay. I feel like I'm in the minority on this one, just because Jay, you, and Sora gave this OP like his number 1 OP of the season. Like this show is just not hitting for me, which I thought it would be because of all the like otaku shit. I think so far it's just been fine. I might drop it just because I'm watching literally 25 shows this season, and just a lot to keep up with. And if it's just okay for me, I don't know if I'm going to continue watching it. But like I get the appeal.
Hey, it'll be there, to watch.
Yeah,
later
use
if
that
you
on
want
hold
to.
button, dude.
Yeah, put it on hold.
So I started this today. I notoriously said that I would watch one episode of this and then drop it in our preview. But that's a lie because I watched 2 episodes today.
Then you dropped it.
And then I dropped it. No, I'm not going to drop it. Not yet, at least. I've I've liked it. I think it's like a lot of fun. I didn't really know what the premise was going into it. So this sort of like dystopian world where the government is trying to like erase otaku culture or something like that is I don't know. It's like fun because I just feel like it's also like I guess a little foreign to me because I don't think I have like a I don't know like otaku culture. I feel like is different if you live in Japan as opposed to living in the
Mm-hmm.
US or whatever. And so like we don't have an Akihabara, right? Like that isn't like we don't have like a center of like that culture or whatever. So it's just sort of like an interesting thing to say. The transformation sequence Anarchy has is freaking fire. I love the visuals of the OP, but the song is a little grating for me. But I do like it. I like the fish, and like the cat. I think there's just like a photo of a cat in there at one point, which is like really cool. Unfortunately, I can't talk any more to it because I also just sort of started it. Um, but Jay, if you want to finish this up real quick, if you have any closing thoughts.
I think the last pitch I'll give to this is that if you grew up watching like Adult Swim shows, this feels like that weird like third tier Adult Swim show that would show up that for like a season that like it plays like in between Code Geass and Naruto reruns or something. And it catches your eye as a young child and you're like, damn, anime can be more than just people like screaming at each other and powering up and whatnot. So I think that it has like a kind of special niche there, and it should be picked up for bigger licensing. I think it'd be cool to see a dub of it and whatnot. I think a dub, like a well done dub, would elevate this in a way.
It reminded me of like Kill la Kill in some aspects, which is a show that I dropped. So I think that's also another reason why I'm not vibing with it.
Also, that ending song is really good. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So those are, we'll get to like some other shows towards the end that we missed, but for our top shows so far, that was it. We wanted to give some time and some shine to some shows that are maybe not talked about as much or maybe under the radar, underrated type of thing. And I have 2. The first one is a show that I'm almost certain I'm the only person watching, and that is called Otaku Elf. And I think the biggest issue why people aren't watching Otaku Elf is because it's called
Otaku Elf.
Yes. I'm a little surprised this doesn't have like the Iyashiki tag on its genre. It's a very comfy slice of life about like games and hobbies and food, which I am a huge fan of all of those. Like cooking is a huge aspect of this show, but it doesn't look like it is. And I think I think more people should like, or like, like the description of the show should be like updated to like reflect that, because it's just a great, like comfy show about like things that I like. I like all the things that they do in this show. Like she's a huge like otaku when it comes to like games. Like she would rather like play the Switch than go out and be whatever. There's like hobbies that she's involved with, and just the cooking aspect of sort of like coming together over food. And to me, it's been great. I really enjoy watching Otaku Elf. I just wish they didn't call it Otaku Elf. I just think that's like a huge marketing miss on their part, and honestly, probably the biggest reason why people aren't watching it. And my other show is called The Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts. I think the biggest issue with this show, why people aren't watching it, is the first episode aired like 3 weeks after most episode 1s did. So I feel like when a lot of people got the set shows that they were going to watch, they were already picked out like what they're watching. And if they wanted like a Beauty and the Beast style of show, I don't know how many people are going to pick it up, but it has a great twist to it other than just like a normal Beauty and the Beast series. I don't want to give the spoiler away, but it's a 2-core, it's shoujo, so I gotta rep it. I gotta give it its chance, and I've just been loving it. The cast is so great. There's a duo named Sai and Klops. They're two little minions. One is the eyeball and the other is the mouth, and they work together as one. They're fucking adorable. The main lead, Sarfari, is just an adorable ball of fun. And then Leonhardt is the main male lead. And his dynamic of being the king of the beast has a really interesting twist to it that takes Beauty and the Beast and does it a little differently. Sort of like if you saw Belle, how that kind of twisted Beauty and the Beast, this kind of does it as well. But just like a great story where the beasts are the hierarchs in the society and the humans are the lower tier. So that's kind of like how that's structured. So it's just been a great like romance comedy slice of life so far. I highly recommend it. So those are my two shows. Miles, what are shows that people should be talking about?
Yeah, so we have two picks. One is probably wrong, but one is right. So we'll start off on a positive note here for the one that's like definitely right. Birdie Wings season 2 picked up right where Birdie Wings season 1 is. I feel like a lot of people have a hard time jumping in to Birdie Wings since golf is so boring, like it's boring as sin. But you know, and if that offended you, I meant to. I just want to say, like, I meant to do that there. And but it's also like a mafia show, and it also has like shonen powers, and I don't know. I think it's just so fun. It just reminds me of Yu-Gi-Oh, but they play golf instead of like card games or whatever.
Mhm.
Like the fact that any golf show is like, okay, like our lives are on the line and we're playing one hole to determine if we like. Surely I don't know a ton about golf, but like there's a reason they play 18 holes, right? Like you need like an average of like several attempts to determine who is the better player. And so like just I just love the ridiculousness of all. There's a scene where a caddy reveals that she got like a certificate in meteorology so that she could like predict weather patterns
Yeah.
more accurately, and it's just like it's just the perfect level of ridiculousness where you're like, that's insane, but also I could see someone doing that. So that's my first one. My second one is going to be Yuri is My Job, which is a fantastic sort of meta look into expectations of women in Japanese culture. You have this neat setup where the characters are literally putting on a performance where they are acting as expected by like a crowd. You have like an interesting backstory and stuff. The setup on how she starts working there is like a little shaky, but I think if you just accept that there's some ridiculousness involved, it's like fine. It's the manga's really acclaimed, and from my understanding, the adaptation has been pretty good to that. So I mean, I would definitely give it a go, but I think you sort of need to view it as like a show within a show, is a sort of commentary thing as opposed to like viewing it straight up. It's sort of like a MST3K, but the people that are commenting on it are themselves, sort of thing. But I think it's a lot of fun.
I dropped
And
it after one episode.
The two shows that I'm going to recommend are the first one is going to be Dead Mount Death Play, another manga that I really enjoyed. Another one that I was very nervous about going into it, but it seems like the adaptation is pretty solid. Voice acting's good, animation is pretty solid. Yeah, it's a pretty solid show. I think that yeah, I would recommend it. And then the other one is Tokyo Mew Mew New Season 2. Picks up right off where the first season left off. There is a character in there who is basically male Saber. So go watch it. And yes, I
King
know that
Arthur?
there is a male Saber in fucking Fate, but this is like a Jack and Daxter male Saber with the
Ooh.
long ears.
Love it. All right, next we're going to jump into our top OPs and ED section. Want to give some love to the music. So I think we're each going to do something like our top 2 or 3 OPs and EDs from each one. So starting with the OPs, I'm going to do mine. Number 3 is Space Cat Big Bang from Too Cute Crisis. I think the show is adorable where it starts with a meow, 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 meow.
Canceled.
How's that canceled? Oh man, I love songs that like match the theme of the show that it's going with, and the fact like the main character of this story is like obsessed with cats, so then the OP is meowing, I think just makes perfect sense to it. Love it, super fun. Number 2 is Idol from Oshi no Ko. Yaosabi has not missed for the last 3 years. She had just absolute bangers with B-Stars, and then last year was Witch of Mercury. Just an incredible artist, and I think she killed it with Idol and this OP. And my number 1 OP of the season is Mellow from Skip&Loafer. I think the song is super fun, and the visuals that go along with it just elevate it that much more. I'm a huge fan of it. I think I've watched the OP something like 50 times. I play the GIF every Tuesday in our anime channel whenever it's airing, because it just brings me joy seeing my two gremlins doing their little dances. So those are my top 3 OPs of the season. Miles, how about you?
So I will, okay, for 3, I think I'm gonna say loving Yamada to level 99's OP. I think that's just like a super happy thing. I really like the art with like the changing outfits and like the little chibi characters and stuff. I think that's just like a really good time. Number 2 for me is Innocent Arrogance from Heavenly Delusion. I
Nice pick.
think the song is an absolute banger, and then like the art direction and stuff in it is really good. Once the I don't people who know more about music don't crucify me, but like when the math rocky guitar riff sort of starts, um and our main character is running, and like the line art and like the shading and stuff like separate from each other, showing like some sort of identity crisis and stuff. I think that's like really, really cool.
Mm.
Number 1 for me is Idol from Oshi no Ko. I just want to highlight my favorite line in it is when she says "Watashi wa Maria," which is she's comparing herself, and this, to the Virgin Mary, because she is someone who has to lie about the origin of her children.
Oof.
And
Dr.
I
Socks,
just
please keep listening.
I I just sort of think about how every once in a while I'll just be thinking about how the Oshi no Ko OP challenges the foundation of Christianity.
You know
And I
what?
think that's kind of
Yosabi,
fire.
they read Deuteronomy. That's why.
Yeah. So that song has like a lot of interesting lines and wordplay, and is from the perspective of several different characters for the show, and that's like fun to dive into. Jay, what about your OPs?
So my number 3 OP, I'm gonna go ahead and give that to. I'm gonna go ahead and say Mellow, Skip&Loafer. Just really fun. I love the animation in there. Number 2 for me has got to be Magical Destroyers by Amy, also one of the voice actors who voices Blue in the show.
Ooh.
Um, Visuals are just fantastic, and that sort of like really kind of quote unquote grating, abrasive sound is my jam. So I'm really into it. And then my number 1 has got to be Work, the Hell's Paradise opening by Ringo Sheena and Millennium Parade, because it's just like a fucking jam. Like, it's something you can like dance to. It's super funky. And there's one part in it where like I don't know which person it is, but one of the guys is like rapping, and then like there's like a break, and he says, but I don't know what he's saying in Japanese, but it sounds like he's saying, "Stand down, my fat people." And I'm just like imagining he has like an army of fat people, and he's
It's
just
the
like,
rumbling with fat
yeah,
people.
yeah, just stand down. It's okay, guys, chill out. And I just love it. It's a fun time.
I've been studying Japanese for about a year, and I can say with 100% certainty that translates to "stand down, my fat people."
I'm glad we could confirm that.
Nice.
Then let's get into our top 3 EDs. Number 3 for me, and Miles is going to hate it. It's Shoe Cream Funk from Mashle.
Last place, worst ED of the season.
I just think it's super fun.
Chocolate.
Yeah, shoe cream, funky love. I don't care that it's made in a lab, which is funny that Miles said that, because then I went and looked up the actual music video from the people who sing it, and it looks like a created idol band. So like, damn it, Miles was right again. But I don't care. The song's a banger. It's super fun. I just really like Mashle's character in general, kind of like Psyche K. Like Psyche's obsessed with coffee pudding or whatever it is, and then Mashle's obsessed with like cream puffs. I just love that, and I love that the ED represents his love for cream puffs. Number 2 is Red Birthmark from GWitch. I just think it's incredible. The opening line, I'm not even going to try to do it because it will kill everybody. The opening line of that song is just, it sets the tone for what's going on in GWitch. It's tragic, it's haunting, but it's beautiful at the same time. And then number 1, I think with this and the first Vinland Saga ED are going to be really tough for me to decide which one were the best 2 of the year, but it's Mephisto from Oshi no Ko. I think Queen Bee just absolutely killed it in this song. The strings that they have in the beginning of the song to like really get the song pumped up and going is great. I also love the dynamic of the OP and the ED, where the OP is I and then the ED is Ruby and Aqua, and that's kind of like how the story of Oshi no Ko is, and I think it just matches it perfectly. So yeah, those are my top 3 EDs of the season.
Good choices.
Even
For me,
Mashle?
Well, not that one.
Damn it, I almost had you.
You did. Also, someone clip. Damn it, Miles was right again for me. Thanks.
No. I'm gonna edit that
out. 3 for me is Mephisto. I do like it. I like the way it blends in. I guess like I don't know. I do really like it. It just doesn't hit that like next level for me or something like that. I definitely like the song better than my number 2, which is the Megumin ED.
yeah.
I just think that's like, I'm like, yeah, it's like a fun little
Wait,
thing.
that could be fun, but Mashle can't be fun?
Yeah, one of them is fun and one of them isn't, Pete.
One
of them looks like someone in the ED department saw Rosario Vampire 2's ED or whatever and was
OP,
like,
yeah,
the OP, and was like, okay, let's recreate that as, I don't know. It just feels so manufactured to me.
To the Shoe Cream Funky Love Party.
Thank God. Number 1 for me is Red Birthmark. I don't know. I'm really obsessed with GWitch, as everyone in the Discord knows. But I think with reason. I think the song is fantastic. The name is very fitting for the scenarios and like what gets played out in the song. The way that they blend it in is good. It just really, I don't know, it's like soulful and powerful, and I feel like we don't get that in a lot of anime openings and endings. It's like, it's just a nice change, and I think it fits the series so well. So that'll almost certainly be my ED of the year, unless something absolutely insane happens in the next 2 seasons.
When you get to Vinland season 2, bro.
If they drop another Lost in Paradise for JJK season 2.
Oh, is
they're out of jail? They could make the OP again.
Wait, were they in jail?
Yeah,
the drummer went to jail. Yeah.
Is Lost in Paradise the first JJK ending?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a really good. I liked that a lot. I was sad when they changed it.
So was everybody else.
Jay, how about your EDs?
So number 3 for me is going to be the ending for Maho Shoujo Magical Destroyers, Gospelion in a Classic Love by the 13th Taylor. I think it just has great vibes to it. The art is pretty fun in the ED, and just like the Death Stranding beach full of dead magical girls caught in like nets and shit is interesting, as they feed a man in a hospital bed and then pronounce him dead. It was pretty fun. It's a good song. I listen to it pretty often just by itself. Number 2 for me is going to be Red Birthmark, for all the reasons everybody else stated. Like, it's just really raw and powerful and a beautiful song in general. And I think that it's just like near flawless for what it's trying to convey, like the emotions and how they use it. And then number 1 for me is going to be Mephisto by Queen Bee. No shocker here. I am a Queen Bee stan. I love Avu-chan. Just killed it. The lyrics in it fit the story so perfectly. Like, if you actually like look up the lyrics and such. The singing is fantastic. The instruments really complement it. It's super funky. Like, it's just perfect. Like, it's probably going to be my ED of the year, unless something truly incredible catches up to it.
Unless we're both switching off of whatever our top one is currently.
I do like the Vinland Saga ED that Pete is talking about too, but it's not quite up there for me, unfortunately. It does definitely fit the vibes of
Th-
the
th-
first
that
part.
that's the
Season
thing.
2.
Like, I think Mephisto's a better song, but ED1 of Vinland season 2 is just haunting with how it's just handling season 1 or that first part of Vinland. And
it's just like, damn, time and time again, my hope is gone.
yeah, it's just like,
It is like a never-ending
yes.
marathon.
Oh, it's so good. Well, those are our top 3 EDs. Before we get to like the shows that we missed, like we gave time to the shows that are under the radar, we gotta give some time to the shows that either are underperforming, underwhelmed, or dropped. I will start. I dropped My Home Hero, a show that I had really high hopes for, but then when I found out that they compressed volume 1 into episode 1, and you could tell, it was just like, I'm not dealing with this pacing. It just seemed so clunky. Where I have heard it's gotten better, but that first episode was so off-putting to me that I just didn't want to go back. A Galaxy Next Door, another show that I had high hopes for, especially with 2 adults in a consenting relationship. Was really hoping for something a little bit more than that, but that's really all we got. We got to that point and kind of tapered off. In Another World with My Smartphone season 2, I know this is a surprise, but like I had some expectations for the show, and it came out to nothing, and so I dropped that real quick. And then sorry Miles, Yuri Is My Job. Episode 1 to me was just, it was, the vibes were just off. Like kind of bullying this main girl. I didn't really understand like the story they were trying to tell with it. I didn't really grasp with any of the characters right away. They introduced like 5 and I didn't like any of them, so I dropped it right away. And then last but not least, everyone's favorite racist bear, Kuma Bear Punch season 2.
He's racist?
Yeah, well, it's KKK.
KKK
It's Kuma
bear.
Kuma Bear. So
Okay, I got you.
the Klansman bear. Season 1 was enough for this type of show. Season 2 was like, it seemed like the exact same thing. I'm like, you know what? I got my fill through season 1. I don't need any more of this. So I dropped it. Miles, do you have any underwhelming or drop shows from this season?
So I haven't dropped anything, and because I need to talk, I don't need. Well, okay, the show doesn't demand that I talk, but I need to talk.
Okay.
So the only, this is disappointing in quotes. I still very much like this show, but the only show that I think I've like gone down on over time is Heavenly
Hey.
Delusion, where after episode 1, I thought like this will probably be my favorite show of the season, and then as it's gone on, I've still very much liked it. It's maybe half a step too weird for me, which isn't like bad. It's just half a step too weird for me. And then I was really surprised when everyone was like super hype on episode 8, because
Oh.
I thought that was probably the worst episode of the season.
Wow.
And it's possible I'm just missing something.
Heart.
You know, even Shohei Ohtani strikes out every now and then.
Yeah, true. But sometimes he throws no hitters like I'm doing right now. And
I was trying to compliment you and burn you at the same time.
I was trying to compliment me and compliment me. Where I just sort of thought, I don't know, like I think they did like the whole setup and stuff for that was all like done in one episode. I don't really get why the guy killed himself. Like, I don't know.
I feel like that was like his daughter. That's my
That's
guess.
his wife.
Oh, it's his
wasn't it?
wife? I think it's
Or
either his wife or his daughter. I think that's why.
Yeah,
Unless it was
like
the other one.
I guess like
I feel like if it was his daughter, there wouldn't have been the like "I love you" as a big revelation type thing, you know?
Well, because like my only thing was like she called him like an idiot, which seems like a adolescent teenager thing to say to your dad. That's that
Kayla calls me all the time.
Well, she's based too, so maybe she's like a really based wife. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was just I don't know. It was like I guess technically we have known the character for longer than one episode, but like I don't know. Like I didn't think any of the reveals were that big. Like I don't know. Was it supposed to be a big reveal that the man-eaters used to be humans this episode? Because it felt like they sort of told us that like an episode or two ago. when
I
that
missed
woman.
it, but I'm dumb, so.
Well, he's trying to bang that girl, right? And then he's like, "Oh, you're a man eater."
He said that? Yeah, I missed that.
Oh,
Okay.
you're talking about the hotel girl?
Yeah.
No, I don't think that she was necessarily a man eater. I think maybe like he did the connect thing, but
I
I
think
don't.
it's early stages of the disease, is what I would guess.
Maybe I don't know.
Anyways, that was, I guess, a hint to me, and it's possible that I'm just like, oh, my theory was right, so I think it's bad, which is like not always true, right? Like that's, um, but I don't know. I guess I just would have liked that to either been spread out for like longer, or I don't know. I feel like the doctor had like a lot to do still, like maybe him to like realize how many other people he could help with his prosthetics, even though there was like a weird cult that didn't like the prosthetics.
Yeah, that
Um,
was odd.
um, yeah, I don't know. Like the whole vibe around that was just the episode was like a little weird to me. It felt a little more melodramatic than the rest of the series. I really like the series. I have it at like an 8 right now, and it could definitely still go up. But that's like my only quote unquote disappointment is that I went from a show where I was like top 20 all time to like I like this show a lot. So that's it for me. What about you, Jay?
Oh, you know what my one thing is? My one disappointment show is Blue Orchestra. What do you guys think about Blue Orchestra? Probably nothing because they fucked up the distribution on this show. Also, the CGI is ass and they don't use music as well as you want it to. But a lot of the characters are pretty well done so far. But like seriously, they fucked the dog so badly on distributing this. Like it would have been something that I think people enjoyed, kind of similar to like Blue Period or some shit like that. Like
Blue Lock.
right,
All the blue
it's no like sound euphonium or anything like that, but like it's fine. I don't know.
I yeah,
It's not as
you
good as I want it to be.
you were really high on it on like episode 1, I felt like. And then is it just like fallen off or something?
It's fallen
Or
off pretty hard in my opinion. Some people are still enjoying it, but I'm kind of off of it. I think
There's
I'm
a
probably gonna drop it.
There was another music show a couple seasons back. I think that was kind of like that. It's called These Snow White Notes. That was very similar to like really having like this human drama connection through music, and then they just make it like I don't know if this is the case for Blue Orchestra, but then they just turn it into like a stereotypical high school drama. And I hope that that's not the case for this show. Let's get into our last segment. Kind of like the shows that we missed. Maybe not like the top of the top, the cream of the crop, but everything in between. I think for the most part, I think we all agree on this show. Loving Yamada is a show that we're all watching. Show for me, I was personally thought it was like okay, but as each episode's progressed, I'm having more and more fun watching it. What are you guys' thoughts on Yamada?
yeah, okay. So I have like a love-hate relationship with Yamada. A lot of people in our community really like Yamada, and I like that. Like I think it's fun to watch. I don't get to watch with those people because I have a 4-month-old baby and I go to sleep
I was
really
gonna say
early. But
it's past your bedtime
yeah,
regardless.
yeah, like 10 p.m. is past my bedtime. But I enjoy talking about it with people. It does have like some like minor gripes about it, but for the most part, I think that it's a fun show. I think Akane is a pretty refreshing female lead in a romance show. She's like flawed in a way that we don't see a lot of female romance leads flawed. Like she's like a little vain and stuff. Like that's neat. I'm not super hot on Yamada, but like also I don't know. Like I'm not the target audience. I think for Yamada, like for him to be appealing to me as like a romance person. But like in the last episode, he was talking about how he didn't think he was good enough for Akane, and he's basically just Faker, like in that world. So like, yes, you are. Like there was actually almost a riot because you didn't show up in a baseball uniform. Like the girls at your school were rioting. Like you would have an ego, buddy. Um, but maybe I'm just projecting on him. Who knows? But overall, I think it's like a cool show. I think I enjoy watching it. It's just sort of in like that B tier for me of shows this season. But I think it's a lot of fun. The characters are fun. I like Runa a lot. Like I loved the bit when she was trying the different like slice of life, like romance tropes to try to get Yamada and Akane together, where she was like forcing the toast into her mouth and stuff.
hmm
Like I thought that was really funny. Jay, what are your thoughts?
I zoned out for a second. What are we talking about?
Yamada.
Yamada.
I really enjoy Yamada. Like you said, I think that Akane is a pretty refreshing lead with how like proactive she is as compared to like being reactive. It's nice that she kind of goes out of her way to make friends with people who were somewhat mean or dismissive to her. I don't know. I'm just really enjoying it. Um, I think that a common complaint about it is that people want Yamada to have a bit more characterization. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I think that it's kind of a slow burn because it's like level 999, right? And we're at like 45 or
Mhm.
something. So I assume they're going to be grinding levels for a while
Yep.
cuz like we got to the whole point where they mentioned that I can't go and play with him because I'm too low level, and I assume that once she gets to that level, then it's going to be them like grinding in the game as a metaphor or for their relationship and vice versa.
I did say in the Discord that if they're not dating in the next one episode, I'm giving it a 0 because they came so freaking close to just being like, they were like, in a hypothetical world where I said I liked you, would you also like me? And they're like, yes, in that world, were that to happen, I would like you. Okay, let's go get some udon. Just finish the job, please. So,
It's like they hand them like do you like me? Yes or no checkbox, but then like underneath it's like JK or maybe. I think other shows that we were watching, I think the Kamuy's been hitting so far this season as well with like Mashle and Konosuba. I'm a little surprised by how much I'm enjoying both. I read the Konosuba spin-off manga and I thought it was just like okay, but I think like Ri Takahashi being Megumin makes like a huge difference in her sister. How you guys been liking those two shows?
yeah, I've enjoyed both. What is really nice about Megumin to me is that like I love Konosuba, but it's a little too sexualized for me every once in a while. And by every once in a while, I mean there's like one episode every season where you're like, "Holy fuck, what are you doing?"
You didn't like the
Um,
succubus episode, man?
yeah, well, even like poor little Yun gets like so sexualized like in that show, but she's actually just like a really good character in this. Um, and so I've really liked it. I thought it was like refreshing. Um, for the like, I think it shows that honestly, if he wanted to, he could write Konosuba to be a little better. Um, because to me, this like hits a lot of the time, but it like doesn't have the downsides that I put up with. Mashle is a lot of fun as well. Um, it's funny, which is what it's supposed to do. I guess I would like if they made the character. They don't even need to like have backstories or be more in depth or anything, but like I don't want to like they don't have to explore the characters more. It's a gag comedy show, right? Like, but maybe highlighted some of the supporting characters a little more or something is what I would want. But I don't know. It's Saitama goes to Hogwarts. I think it's a lot of fun. Besides the ED,
I almost had you.
Jay, what about you?
No opinion on the Megumin show. I like Mashle. Mashle is very funny. I've had a gut laugh in nearly every episode, and even the recap episode was pretty funny. So that gets 2 thumbs up from me.
And then I think me and Jay need to touch on this that Golden Kamuy coming back has been an
Oh yeah.
absolute delight. I think just
I haven't watched the newest episode.
neither have I. I need to do some catch up tonight, but I mean, Jay, you're a big DK stan. How you've been enjoying
It's been adapted well. Brainspace is killing it, honestly. This last season's been really solid. I'm sad that it got delayed so long, but I'm like a year or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Actually no, it was in
It was
fall.
like
I'm
6 months,
tripping.
I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But still, it was a while. And sad that it was like about over like a key staff member dying. Like rest in peace to them. I'm glad that they're back into the swing of things and doing just as good of a job as they were doing before. So, looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right. I think we're getting close to our time. Miles and Jay, do you have any shows that you want to quick maybe talk about?
Really quick, let's like I know I talked about it in my disappointments, but I think we should touch on the good aspects of Heavenly Delusion. Like, I feel like that's a show we're all enjoying. Um, I guess I don't want the only highlighting of that to be negative.
It's just a
Um,
fun mystery. I like
yeah,
it feels like it's disjointed. I have some theories about what's going on myself. Like, I don't think that the two sets of stories we're seeing take place in the same time.
I agree.
I also agree.
Um, like, I think that maybe some of those kids are becoming man-eaters, potentially. And that's kind of what they were hinting at with the hotel girl, is that
Yeah.
humanity is either has hybrids or is developing into man-eaters over
So
time.
if the school takes place in the past, then we know that disease has been happening. We know they sort of were like growing man eaters, maybe in some fashion.
Mhm.
My guess would be that when they find Tevin, it's that school
Yeah.
and it's long
Fucked up,
destroyed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, like, Tokyo and Maru look very similar. I wonder what their relationship is, because like the big twist, I'm gonna put big in quotation marks, that Tokyo is a female, not a dude. It's like, oh, I mean, I think Tokyo is Maru's like mom or something. Yeah, I know Miles wasn't high on episode 8. I loved it. I think it was one of the best
I liked
episodes
it.
of the season. I loved kind of the doctor's like idea of, because when you're in a scenario like that, this apocalypse, like you find meanings of like holding on. I think we all, maybe not all of us, watched like The Last of Us, where you try to find some glimmer of hope to keep going. And I really like that Usami was like, he was making these prosthetics because it made whoever was in bandages happy, and like his whole meaning of life after this disaster was this person, and then that person's gone. He's like, well, what's the point of living? And I thought, like, while tragic, I thought it was nice in the story, I guess.
I saw a theory that the woman in the bandages is Mimi Hime from the past, and
Hmm.
that it's the other guy and the guy who had got the photo of her and Mimi Hime, who were the doctor and the bandage person.
Okay.
But it doesn't have much evidence behind it, but it feels somewhat right with how they had like the dream thing at the end with Mimi Hime. That
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like out of place otherwise.
By
Honestly, this is one where I want to read the manga.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think like that's why I like it, because we can have these discussions and these theories, because there is a great underlying mystery to it, and every episode we get a little bit more of that puzzle. So big fan of
Yeah,
Heavenly
we
Delusion.
don't often get that in anime, I feel like. A lot of times it's pretty straightforward. We don't have those like straight up like cooler discussions that we can have about shows like, like Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon or whatever, where people have these in-depth discussions
Mm-hmm.
about theories. Like, it's mostly a manga thing, I feel like, whenever it comes to anime and manga. Like, we don't have a ton of that in anime.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's
I
why
think part
Perfect
of
Blue.
that.
That's why Perfect Blue is why I think it's the best anime ever created. Because of that's one of many aspects of it. Because me and Miles talked about it for like 4 hours, and we still weren't sure what we were seeing. Like, that's the beauty of it, and I think Heavenly Delusion is on that track. Go ahead, Miles.
Yeah, I think we're getting like a good amount of that this season though. Like I think GWitch has that sort of vibe to
Mm-hmm.
it where, you can look at Prospera and you can debate what she's cooking. Um and then Heavenly Delusion has that from like 30 different angles about what's going on. So, um that yeah, I mean, that's my favorite part about it. I think part of the anime issue, and like this would be part Heavenly Delusion too, is that you can't like some percentage of the people watching know what happens already, and
Mm-hmm.
that like always throws a bit of a wrench into that type of speculation. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, but it's my favorite part of discussing media is what Jay was talking about, like the Game of Thrones water cooler sort of stuff. Um,
Yeah. No, for sure. All right, let's run through everything else that you're watching.
sure, I'm watching other shows. Um, I can't remember them.
Jay, do you know off the top of your head the shows that you're watching?
Shows that we didn't mention off the top of head my head that I'm watching. Vinland Saga, obviously, we're saving that. Yeah, honestly, we mentioned pretty much all the shows that I'm watching.
Mm-hmm. For me, other shows I'm watching, Too Cute Crisis, a very nice show to watch after Vinland Saga. They are polar opposites, and it really gives me my serotonin back. Which is not to say, even though I think Vinland Saga at the moment is my anime of the year, it's been incredible. But me and Jay will probably be ranting about that during our actual review. What else am I watching? Oh, this is a show that I didn't really like at first, but it's been enjoying every episode more and more. It's called My Clueless First Friend. Sort of like the girl is literally named like Shinigami and she's bullied, and then the new kid in class is like so oblivious to everything. He thinks it's really cool that she's nicknamed Shinigami, and they become good friends. Really heartwarming. I think it pushes the line a little bit too much on like the bullying aspect. I think at this point they could probably stop, but they kind of keep doing it. So that's like my only critique about it. And the Ranking of Kings spinoff, I started it last night and I've been really enjoying it. I see people's complaints because it's not in like chronological order where like you can interweave it. We had like some Despa and Boji and Kage episodes followed by like a healing episode, which I think people can be like the ordering of the episodes seem a little off. But I think if you're a Ranking of Kings fan, I've been really enjoying it. And then the last one is Tonikawa season 2. I just love my spaceman and space woman married couple. They're just a lot of fun and cute. Miles?
I think we touched upon everything I'm watching this season, actually, in the show, amazingly enough. But I'm currently watching Gundam Wing, and it's a lot of fun.
Nice. Yeah, and we talked a lot of shows, and I think that just shows how good this season is. I think it's great.
If you have any interest in like Western animation, Genndy Tartakovsky's new show dropped on HBO Max, Unicorn Warriors Eternal. It's pretty solid. There's some animation hiccups in the first couple episodes, but the voice acting is fun. A lot of familiar names if you watch like literally any cartoons growing up. Like Billy and Mandy, like Billy or Mandy's voice actress is there. Azula, same actress as Azula, stuff like that. It's pretty fun. So watch that if you want to support some Western animation.
Right on. Yeah, and I also another show similar to Golden Kamuy that came back. Kubo, Won't Let Me Be Invisible is back, and I've been enjoying that as well. But I think we got through. I think we talked about like 20 plus shows. I think we did a really good job at covering this entire season. So props to everybody here. Good job. Thank you, Miles and Jay, for joining me. And if you want to support us, the best way to do so, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review on whatever platform you're watching or listening to us on. Check out Jay's manga podcast, Manga Melee, if you're interested in some manga content. Otherwise, next week will be the best episode of Watch Club of all time as we review our first Donghua ever, Link Click. So join us for that. Otherwise, we'll see you next time for whatever I feel like doing in 2 weeks that I don't have planned out yet. So thanks, and we'll see you next time.